welcome to my channel, and today we'll be reading a story written by a user. This story is titled The Last Cabin, so let's jump right into it. It looked abandoned, left to rot, the paint peeling from its walls like scabs. The locals called it the Last Cabin. It had earned that name more than 40 years ago when an entire family vanished inside one night without a trace. No one knew what happened to them, where they went, or who was responsible. All that remained was a rocking chair on the porch, gently swaying as if someone was still sitting there. There was no reply except the wind's mournful song outside. He began recording with his camera. "Where are the ghosts? Come on, show yourselves," he joked, hoping to appear brave. But his bravado was a thin veneer over the fear that was starting to grip him. In a forgotten village, far from the city lights, there stood an old wooden cabin at the edge of the forest. The room at the end of the hallway was locked, its door secured with a heavy padlock. Inside, dozens of mirrors were propped against the walls, their glass shards reflecting his terrified face. It shattered, sending shards flying. One piece hit him, drawing blood. In the corner, he saw a dark shape coalescing, taking form in the dim candlelight. It beckoned to him, its finger long and skeletal. The room was silent now, the whispering voices replaced by an oppressive quiet. He fell, scraping his knee on the rough wood. Adam screamed, the sound echoing into the night, swallowed by the darkness. The next morning, a villager found his camera on the porch. The last clip showed Adam's terrified face, his eyes wide with fear as he backed away from the unseen horror behind him. A pale hand was reaching for him from the shadows, its fingers long and bony, its grip like a vice. Then the screen went black and the whispering voices began. Ignoring the pain, he scrambled to his feet and ran to the front door. But it was locked. Panic surged through him. Trapped. He was trapped in a house with something he couldn't see, something that wanted him dead. As he moved from mirror to mirror, he saw different reflections of himself. In one, he was lying on the floor, his face pale and lifeless, his eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. New whispers, new screams. The cabin was never empty. In another, he was smiling eerily, his teeth unnaturally sharp. And in the third, he wasn't there at all. If you did, make sure to leave a like and maybe subscribe for more scary stories. Also, if you want to hear more stories like this one, I have a playlist full of similar stories that I think you'll really like. I'll leave it linked below. So thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time. But even before he touched it, the scratching began, slow, methodical taps that seemed to come from inside the door itself. Then the doorknob started to turn. Adam backed away, tripping over his own feet. Then he heard it, slow, deliberate footsteps behind him. Adam spun around. His heart pounded in his chest, but there was nothing there. Whispering from somewhere above, they seemed to slither through the cracks in the ceiling. At first, it was unintelligible, just a murmur that sent chills down his spine. But then he made out the words. "Let me out," they cried. "Help me," they begged. The voices grew louder, more desperate, mingling with the sound of crying children and the distorted laughter of a woman. The man's voice cut through the chaos, choking and begging for mercy. "Don't hurt me. Please, please let me out." The terror in his voice sending shivers down Adam's spine. Only the sound of his own breathing and the relentless pounding of the rain against the roof. One stormy evening, Adam, a young man from the city, heard about the legend of the cabin and scoffed. Scrawled across the wall was a phrase that hadn't been there before. "You're next." Panic hit him like a wave, the blood draining from his face. He stumbled back, knocking over a chair. His eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape. He ran to the door, but it was locked. He thought it was just a silly local myth, the kind of story that scared children but couldn't possibly be true. Accompanied by his two friends, Ben and Emily, he decided to spend the night in the cabin to prove that it was nothing but an old abandoned building. Armed with a flashlight and a camera, he laughed off the villagers' frantic warnings, waving them away as superstitious nonsense. They arrived at the cabin just past midnight. As they approached the porch, the rocking chair suddenly stopped. The three friends looked at each other, a shiver running down their spines. The wind picked up, howling through the trees like a wounded animal. Lightning flashed, illuminating the gnarled branches that scraped against the cabin walls. Thunder boomed, shaking the very foundation of the house. Adam, trying to shake off his unease, tested the door. It creaked open slowly as if inviting them in. Inside, cobwebs brushed against their faces and the air was thick with dust motes dancing in the beam of Adamy's flashlight. Furniture lay overturned, its surfaces coated in a thick layer of grime. The only untouched item was a shelf holding several candles, their wicks still intact. But what was strange was that they were brand new, their wax unmelted, as if someone had just put them there. "Anyone here?" Adam called out, his voice echoing ominously in the silent house. Suddenly, his flashlight died. He tapped it against the floor, cursing under his breath. Darkness swallowed the room whole. He pulled out his phone and turned on the light, its beam cutting through the darkness. Then he heard the voices. He bolted upstairs, his footsteps echoing in the silence. Driven by an unseen force, he reached out and pushed the door open. A cold hand seemed to grip his heart, squeezing the breath from his lungs. He stumbled back, knocking over a mirror. Terror lent him strength, and he fled, racing down the stairs, his foot catching on the loose floorboard. Then he heard the whisper in his ear, "Now you're one of us." From that day forward, people said the cabin made new sounds at night. So I hope you enjoyed that creepy story.